Hello. Hey, everyone. Still early. Give you a couple of seconds here. Well, hello and welcome, and thank you for joining me here today at Earn More and Live More, where I show you how to create freedom in your careers, your finances, and really, most importantly, is your personal life. And I'm your host, Lou Perica. So today's training kind of plays off of last week's training. If you watched last week's training, I did the TFAR method, and it was really in response to what's happening in the market and how people were reacting, how agents were reacting. So last week, try to catch that video. It was really about flipping the way you think, the way you feel, and the way you act, which ultimately changes your results. So today's class, today's training is how to use these secret tools. And we've all been given these secret tools. And if you want to have significant results in your life, you need to use these success tools on a daily basis. And this is where most people drop the ball. You know, having daily success habits is what separates the professionals from the hobbyists. So it's all up to us. It's all up to each and every one of us. What do we want? Are we willing to do what it takes? And if we don't make an irrevocable, committed decision to change, things will pretty much stay the same. So it is up to us. And just know there are so many more layers to each and every one of us that lies within, just waiting to come out, waiting to shine. But again, it's up to us. So what drives change, right? Desire. Desire is like high octane. It's the burning desire of something that you really, really want. And this is what I'm constantly, talking about and teaching about is about goals, right? Big goals, goals that you're in love with, something that you really, really want, you've never done before. And when you discover what that is, you need to make, again, the irrevocable committed decision to do whatever it takes, apply repetition, persistence, and faith. All right, so let's get started. So, since we were little kids, we learned about our five senses, right? We learned about hearing, seeing, touching, tasting, and smelling. And we literally became conditioned and programmed to live from the outside in. We watched the news, we listened to conversations, social media, TV, radio, etc. And the conditions and circumstances that we're seeing and hearing, we start to react to, and they're actually controlling us. So today I want to share with you our mental tools, our mental muscles, or as I like to call, our superpowers. All right. Most likely you've never been taught these before, whether it's in your home, at school, or at business trainings. And you've heard of these words that I'm going to share with you. And if you're like me, they were just like words. They were words. I never understood the power behind them. And that's what we're going to share today. So these mental tools are the will, our perception, our memory, our imagination, our intuition, and our reason. And again, these are our superpowers, but they need to be exercised just like muscles. Just like when you go to the gym, you need to exercise these muscles and these tools. So let's get into them. The first one that I mentioned is the will. This gives us the ability to focus and concentrate on one thing to the exclusion of all outside distractions. So sometimes people get the will confused with willpower, because I know I used to do that, right? I want you to think of willpower as like a gas tank. And you start your day off with a full amount of fuel. And by the end of the day, the fuel is running low because you've been using it, right? You've been using your willpower to get through something. And many times we use our willpower to lose weight, or release weight, to change a result in something, to discipline ourselves, etc. But typically the change is temporary and cannot be sustained because it's more of a force. Um, the difference between the will is the ability to focus and concentrate, and the willpower is like fuel. So, how do we strengthen this muscle, this tool? Here's a good way. If you sit in your favorite chair, black dot on the wall across from you, I know it sounds silly, you just do it though. Or you can light a candle and concentrate on the flame. So either look at the dot or look at the flame and just focus in on it. Focus in on it. If you're anyone, if you're like me or anyone else, most likely you'll only be able to concentrate and focus for maybe just a couple of seconds, and then poof, your mind is off wandering again. This takes practice. Bring your thoughts back, bring your attention back, and focus on the dot. And what this is going to do is, again, strengthen your concentration. I know when I meditate in the morning, I get ready, I'm laying there, I light my candle, and I'm listening to a guided meditation. And I start off, as the longer the meditation goes, my mind starts to drift. I have to use my will to bring it back and listen to the guided meditation. So keep trying to do that. Maybe on any of these tools that you practice one of the tools for a full month. Practice on your will for a full month, then move on to your perception, your memory, your intuition, etc. Practice, practice, practice. When you're focusing on something that you want, a goal, something that you desire, with the exclusion of all outside distractions, which means you're focusing on something, you're concentrating on something, you're not concerned with all of this noise going on around you. Make sense? All right. Next one is perception. This is how we see the world through our lenses. It's our point of view, and our experiences and our beliefs shape our perceptions. So here's a good exercise to try to do. Try seeing things from another person's perception. Sometimes we get stuck. Sometimes we're in a situation, or we can't find the answer to something, and we just keep tossing it around and tossing it around. If we go to someone else's perception, think of someone that you might admire, someone that maybe it's in your family or friends, someone who's successful, someone who's a genius, someone who's wiser, just someone else. Go into their perception. How would so and so handle this? What would they do? And what it's doing is getting you out of your logical thinking, because it's our logical thinking that got us into the situation. So it's going to take getting out of that box and looking at it from a different perspective, different perception, to get an answer. I do this many times. Sometimes if I feel a little stuck or I don't know the answer to something, I'll think of, all right, what would so and so do? And you can literally go into their mind. It's really, truly amazing. So that's a great way to exercise your perception muscle. Memory. The memory is the ability to recall something that has happened. We use this muscle, but typically not in our favor. We use it typically against ourselves. What we want to do, we want to recall the good. We want to recall the good that will serve us. But again, unfortunately, we replay the past, things that, were not so terrific, and we play that over and over. Switch that, but it takes using your will, the will to concentrate and focus. I'm going to start changing the way my memory works. I don't want to keep replaying things from the past. I'm going to start looking for the good. So a good way to strengthen your memory muscle is at the end of the day, maybe, right before you go to bed or whatnot. Think about conversations that you had. Think about what you did at 10 a.m. in the morning. Think about what you did in the past week, or maybe the past month. Try to recall what you did and get into details. It's so funny when, with my clients, when I ask them to share a win, they'll share something on the beginning of our call, and it's usually short-lived, right? There's not a lot of detail. And the funny thing is if I were to ask them what's something that really went wrong this week, they would go on and on with all the details and get us emotionally involved in what didn't go right that day. So it's really quite interesting how we can spend so much time recalling what didn't work, what didn't go well, opposed to what did go well. We don't put a lot of detail and emotion into that, and that's all part of our conditioning and programming. Imagination. So Napoleon Hill, the author of Think and Grow Rich, I hope everyone has read that. Not only just read it, experienced it, study it. He said the imagination is the most miraculous, inconceivably powerful force that the world has ever known. Albert Einstein said, imagination is more important than knowledge. Knowledge is limited. Imagination encircles the world. We're all creative. We all use our imagination. And again, just like the memory, typically we use it against ourselves. We imagine the worst. If our kids are not home by, whatever, 10 o'clock, they just got their license or something like that, we imagine them in a ditch somewhere, right? If we go to do something new, we imagine almost the worst. Oh, it's not going to work. I invested this money, or I did this, I wasted time, or this may happen. It's really quite interesting how typically we go there, right? So everything starts with imagination. I want you to really think about this. Look all around you. Everything you can look at, everything you can touch started with someone's imagination. It started with an idea. They created an image in their mind and they brought it into physical form. And this is where our goal starts. It's based upon our imagination. So, how to exercise your imagination? Go somewhere quiet. Go to a quiet place, all by yourself in a room, and I want you to start imagining what what would it be like if there is no way I could fail? Like, go there, right? If you could have anything you wanted, who would you be? Where would you live? How much money would you earn? What kind of relationships would you have? What kind of home would you live in? What kind of car would you drive? Where would you travel? Right? Start going there instead of going there. All right? Stretch your imagination. And this is why sometimes, when we're in the same environment day in and day out, we're seeing the same things, the same people, the same homes, the same businesses. We're driving down the same street. Stretch your imagination. Take the time to do this, because this is where you start get intuitive hits, which brings us to our next tool, our next superpower, our intuition. This is where you pick up vibrations, right? Sometimes you feel like you just sense something, right? It can be a gut feeling. It could be something you smell. It could be a quiet voice. It could be anything, but there's this sense, and it's a knowing. And your intuition, our intuition is 10 times stronger than our intellect. It's a knowing. You just know when you know. And it's been said that your intuition is when God is speaking to us. Mm. So, how to exercise this? Many times we've all gone through this. You're thinking of someone and they call you. So, next time when that happens, when you're thinking of someone, reach out to them. Just give them a call and say, hey, this may sound weird, but I was thinking about you, and I just was wondering, have you been thinking about me lately? And see what they say. See what they say. You'll start to, or maybe you'll get an idea. Explore it. You're getting that idea for a reason. There's a purpose for that idea, why it came to you. Didn't come to me. It didn't come to your partner. It didn't come to your kids or someone you work with. It came to you. So explore it. The more you exercise your intuition, the more you'll start to listen to it and start to trust it. It's been said that Richard Branson does all his business by intuition. He knows when he's going to be doing business with someone by just a handshake, which reminds me, speaking of handshakes, this is a pet peeve of mine. When you shake someone's hand, shake it with confidence. I can't tell you how many times I've met new agents or anybody, it's not just necessarily agents, and you go to shake their hand and they call it the fishtail, right? It's just weak and floppy. That says a lot. So work on your handshake. It's definitely worth it. And lastly, our reason. This is our ability to think. And thinking is the highest function that we're capable of. Think about that, right? It is the highest function that we're capable of, but it takes effort to think. Most of us think we're thinking. Most of us think we're thinking, but here's the thing. We have about 60,000 thoughts a day. And more than 95% of those thoughts are the thoughts we thought of yesterday and the day before that and the day before that. So what we're doing is we're reliving yesterday over and over and over. We're actually operating on default most of the day, and it's habitual thinking because, again, real thinking takes effort. The habitual thinking conserves energy. This, and I always point to the conscious mind and the subconscious mind, this takes effort. We have to stop and think. And this is what the exercise is, right? When we were kids, we would hear, stop and think before you speak. We heard this many times. To be able to stop and think when something happens is called responding, right? When you're in a situation, you have to stop and just take a breather and respond. When we react, many of us, we use the example of someone cutting us off in traffic, right? How many of us react? I used to react. It was boom, I have it, boom. because I was always looking at the outside world, my outside world, and I was always reacting to whatever was coming at me. Right? So next time, think. Think before you speak. When you're in a situation, think and then respond. This is when you're in control. When we react to what's going on in the outer world, where we become victims and we let the outside circumstances control us and get the best of us. Mm. So I hope this helped. If you want freedom in your life, you must use these tools that we have within. Whenever we react to what's going on in the world, we become a plaything for the world. We're not in control of our own thoughts. We're always reacting to what this one said, what this one's doing, how this is happening, what's going on in the market. And it's a constant, it's like life is coming at us and we're just reacting to what's coming at us. When we use our mental tools, our mental muscles, our superpowers, we are in control of the way we think. Our thoughts lead to our feelings lead to how we behave. This is critical, and this is what separates, again, the professionals from the hobbyists. We need to do this on a daily basis. I have my daily activities, my daily goal achieving activities that I do every day. Every time my mind wanders, I think, come back. I have to use my will, come back. What do I want? When something doesn't seem to be going quite right, I think to myself, what would I love? What would I want? I have to keep bringing those thoughts back. And it's amazing. It's amazing how well it works. So these tools have been pre-installed in everyone, but if we're not familiar with them or don't know how to use them, they're not going to benefit us. And again, we'll become victims of the outer world. And if nothing changes, nothing changes. So to live the life you truly want, go within, detach from the outer world. And yes, we need to be aware. Yes, still be informed about what's going on around you, but don't get pulled into it. Focus on what you want, what your intention is, and every time you start to go there, bring it back. Bring it back. What do I want? What would I love? Okay. So my intention for today was I hope this helped someone. And if this resonated with you and you want to learn more about how to get the results that you want in your life, reach out to me because your life matters. I thank you again for joining me today, and I will see you next week. Take care.